What up? Welcome to Homegrown Hustle, where local brilliance takes the center stage. I'm your host, Matt Eichmann. Together, we're about to embark on an inspiring journey. Our community thrives on the wisdom of insightful leaders that are right here in our backyard. And we're bringing their expertise to your ears. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur or simply seeking inspiration, this podcast is your guide. Join us every week in celebrating innovation, guidance, and the power to inspire greatness. Let's explore the stories that shape our local business landscape, and together, let's ignite the spark of excellence.
KZ, what up? Welcome to the Homegrown Hustle podcast. Top salesman. Tell me about why you're top salesman. Let's just kick it off right from the beginning, KZ.
I appreciate that. Top salesman. The reason why is because I care. I care about my clients. I care about the organization that I represent. And when those two things come together, it's kind of hard not to be amazing at what you do because it's easy at that point. It's like breathing air.
Just comes natural.
Yeah, it comes natural because what you want to do, what your goal is in life, you know, and that's why you've interviewed so many entrepreneurships. You're trying to find what you're passionate about, what you love. So what you do every day doesn't feel like work, right? It feels like, you know, I'm just getting up and contributing to the planet. And that's what I feel like I'm doing. I'm connecting people together with real solutions that they need for their organization. That's why I'm a B2B sales guy, right? Not B2C. I'm not knocking on anybody's door and bothering them when they're trying to eat some dinner or, you know, collaborate with their kids and their loved ones. I'm really talking to business owners that are trying to be as profitable as possible. And what I do affects the bottom line. So it just makes sense.
It does, but also what you do, the products and services you sell are also like, they're commoditized, right?
Yeah.
So how do you, as a salesperson, how do you differentiate let's just say it. I mean, you're a salesperson for T-Mobile and you sell a bunch of different solutions, right?
A bunch.
So, but other companies out there sell similar solutions, right?
Yeah.
So to the consumer, that person on the other side of the second B, or maybe the first B.
It could be either or.
So how do you differentiate what you're doing from what they currently have?
You know, it's kind of weird for me to even make this statement in the world of AI and robots. I told you, like Elon Musk, robots is coming. You know, it's almost like that handwritten letter when you receive it. It's like, what the hell is this? A letter written out? That's crazy. I like this guy. And that's what I bring to the table. Something that's missing, that human component, the ability to assess a situation and allow people to avoid, you know, a pitfall. Because I have some advice around a specific solution. I've been doing this for 17 years in the B2B space, specifically in telecommunications. So that experience is valuable. And, you know, yeah, you can go to Walmart, but I guarantee that kid that's going to help you out was just cleaning up on aisle 7, right? So that is the difference. And I think it's especially important, especially when you have a commodity, right? I do have a cell phone. So everybody has a cell phone. You can get it at Walgreens if you wanted to. One of those burners. What are you doing with your life if you have a burner? You need to have a plan, a business plan, and a business guy, KZ, right? With T-Mobile. So, you know, ultimately that's why people work with me, and that's where my value lies.
So 17 years you've been doing this. So take me back to 17 years ago. Where was KZ at that point? And then maybe what were you thinking about when you made that step into telecommunications?
Yeah, so I was in my selling career, and, you know, I've been selling all my life. You know, I believe we sell as infants. We sell as just people, you know, trying to talk to the girl across the room. Check yes. No's not even an option of me. So I've been selling for 37 years, you know, since I was crying to my mom because I wanted more of whatever she had. But professionally, I started at Verizon Wireless in a retail store. I worked for a gentleman named Brady Hansen. I'll never forget him because I was actually going door to door selling for university directors, which is an internship that I was a part of in college, which also like taught me a lot about B2B sales and what it means to be a really great executive and salesperson. And when I knocked on his door, he saw my acumen right away and he said, you need to drop this bag and come work for me. And it was the first time I met a leader that led with love. and compassion. He would tell his employees how much he appreciated them and what it meant when we, had a sale, and what it meant when we hit 100% to our goals, and, not just what it meant for the bottom line, but what it meant to him personally and his family, And I think that lifting up that veil and showing the other side of why we do what we do was so important to, me as an executive on the front line, going as hard as possible for my boss, who's given me an opportunity of a lifetime to make more money than I've ever seen at the time. So that's where it started. I graduated into radio sales, started selling the air, literally the air. I like to say I was also selling to people's egos. So I think people enjoy hearing their voice on the radio. But, ultimately that was hard. That was like probably the hardest job that I've ever had. I did hit 100% to my quota, but I like to think that was like going to the gym and lifting weights that I've never lifted, like the heaviest weights, and I'm like struggling. Because when I got to telecommunications, a platform that every organization, I don't care if you're a mom and pop shop or an enterprise organization, Fortune 500, whatever you want to call it, you're going to use a cell phone. You're going to use wireless technology, LTE, 5G to stay connected to your employees, your vendors, and customers. So essentially, after lifting these heavy bars, I'm like, man, this is easy. This is lightweight. And I'm going to bring a lot of those principles to the table and show these executives how it's done.
Okay. So you just came from a place where you put an extreme amount of stress on yourself from the goals you set, the activities that you had.
Yep.
And that contributed to the results that you had, and then the acumen that maybe Brady saw in you.
Isn't it crazy? I mean, that's life. It's like, God, why are you putting me through this stuff? I don't get it until you get it. And it's like, oh, that's why you made that so hard. Oh, that's why I did that. I would even go back to the time where I dropped out of college. Hopefully my kids are not listening. Don't stay in school. I came back after I had my little one and I graduated. So I do have my bachelor's degree.
That's amazing, man. A lot of people don't do that.
Come back?
Yeah.
Well,
a lot of people don't finish. So the fact that you finished what you started, like, round of applause to you. And like, that should be an exam. I hope your kids do watch this because of that.
I appreciate that, Matt. During that time, I had the opportunity to have several jobs, but the job that I had while I was in New York City gallivanting, my mom would say.
Man, my mom says that too.
Does she say gallivanting? Like, who says that? Is that in the dictionary or is that made up?
It's a fun word.
So I joined forces with a third-party reseller. I can't remember the name of the organization, but they were selling Verizon Fios door to door. And I was working 70 hours a week, knocking on doors. My commute was 2 hours alone, and I had to take that Long Island Railroad to get there and then back. So I'd start like probably 7 a.m. and get home at 9. And I did well, but it was definitely cutting my teeth. And, again, you ask yourself, like, why did I go through that? Because I know exactly what I don't want to do ever again, right? And it allows you to count your blessings, B2B sales has changed my life. It's given me a lifestyle that I've only dreamed of. When I was a kid, I'd ride through neighborhoods with large houses. Now I live in one, and my tax bracket proves that, but now my children get to enjoy the best schooling possible. We feel safe in a cul-de-sac, and it's like, whoa, like, how did this happen? A kid with 2 immigrant parents that were just trying to struggle to make it, eating bologna and ketchup sandwiches, to really utilize my education and my skill set to, do something great. So yeah, man, I, as I said, I've been selling forever, but it has been these experiences, these milestones down the road that have really sharpened the blade.
So you were living in New York when you were how old?
Not forever. So,
well, we're not in New York right now. So I guess I'm trying to figure out, like, when you came to
the timeline,
to the Midwest or to Minnesota.
From my bio.
Yeah.
Yo, check me out on LinkedIn. The name Ekeze. You'll see it in the descriptions below. But yeah, essentially started in Ithaca, New York. That's where my parents met and had me. And about within that year, I went and moved with my grandmother. So my grandmother is an immigrant that came from Trinidad and Tobago and has a total of 13 kids. And I guess just say 14 as a grandchild, because my youngest aunt is like 2 years older than me. So I lived with her for quite a bit in Brooklyn, New York, and it was a 2-bedroom apartment with 14 people in there. My grandma slept on the couch, and I slept head to toe with my aunts, and, there was a boys' room with, my uncles, and we loved it. I mean, I knew no difference, so it was awesome. I just loved it. But my mother was in medical school. So for all you people saying like, my life was so hard, like all of my aunts, and I'm skipping a little bit, but I'll come back. All of my aunts are like so successful. Like they make 6 figures easy, $250,000 easy, all have bachelor's degrees, if not masters. My mother's a doctor. And, my grandma came here as a single mother. There's no dad in the picture, so, which makes it hard for me to make excuses. Like, I couldn't do that because ... Like, it doesn't matter. Your grandma did it. So, that's kind of how, it all started for me in Brooklyn and, doing the, I guess, kindergarten, things I don't remember. I just kind of look at pictures and ask questions. My parents finally came down to New York City and got a house in Queens. And that's really where my memory kicks in of an awesome childhood with my 3 siblings and going to a private school. So I did go to a private school and I wore a uniform every day, which is nice actually, because I don't have to worry about what I'm wearing the next day. But I did that and went into a public school. It was a trade school. And I really believe that's where my sales career started, right? If you want to talk about dollars and cents.
Tell me more.
I was hustling.
I'm a hustler, baby.
Not that type of hustling. Relax. Matt. I was at a Costco with my mom and we were at the candy aisle. I just wanted candy for myself, but all their candy was like super bulk crazy. And there was unit prices on the labels and it said like 62 cents a bar or unit, it probably said. I was like, man, yesterday I bought like a small Snickers bar for $1. This is jumbo size.
You just did a little math.
Yeah, I need this bread. So I didn't have the money at the time, but I came back with all my allowance money, got Snickers and M&Ms. And,
shout out to Costco.
Yeah, and Skittles. But the Holy Grail, guys, the Holy Grail was Pixie Sticks. Pure sugar.
Straight cocaine,
just
man.
Drugs. Just drugs. But the unit price on that was 17 cents. So I didn't know I was talking about margins or thinking about margins, but I was. And having like self-control not to like get high in your own supply too. That was kind of crazy. But a buddy of mine, he played for our basketball team and he had those boxes that they carried around to raise money for the jerseys. So that's how I got away with it. Like the teachers didn't ask me any questions because they thought I was raising money, but I was just raising money for myself. So it was pretty dope, man. But I fell in love with it. And the reason why is because it gave me a purpose. I felt like I was necessary. So maybe that's like, maybe I should be laying down on this couch. No, but it was nice to be like, hey, where's KZ at? He has that stuff.
You felt important?
I felt useful. I felt necessary.
You were creating at that point though. You took something you saw and then you were going and like making shit happen.
Well, it was fine. I found a need, which was, I want to be popular and fashionable and have all the cool stuff and the toys and the video games. Knowing that my parents weren't going to buy it for me, I had to figure out how to get it myself. So maybe that was the first carrot. And the second carrot was like, okay, people actually like, it's not embarrassing. Like, it's kind of cool to have the thing, the solution. So that's like probably in my earlier years, like before I can actually cop a job. So that was pretty dope though, to be kind of the master of my own funds. I was making probably $150 a week. So
hustling Pixie Sticks.
I was selling out every day. I probably could have did better.
Yeah.
I think back sometimes, bro. I be telling my kids, don't ask me for no money. Go sell some
inventory
Snickers bar. I know. I was too JIT, just in time. I needed to have a warehouse of candy or something. I needed to buy in bulk. I don't know. Again, just thinking back. It was a good time though. And what it did is it raised my, stock with the kids. And I ended up throwing a lot of parties in the latter years of my high school career. So like we had but again, like, you think about these things. It's like, why? Why did I experience that? And I would say I would never have like a lunch table. Like I would always float from table to table to table. Like, and I was always welcome. Like there was like the table with all the girls on it. They loved me over there. And then there was a table with people that love playing dominoes and spades and Unos, like a few like gaming tables. Then there was a table with just like the burnouts. Those are my people too. Then the nerds that always getting A's in the class. Like, let me get that paper. Mm-hmm. So I was friendly with everybody, and everybody knew me pretty well because of the product that I sold. And like, you know, it allowed me to kind of see the value in everybody. Like, why are we separating ourselves? Which goes even deeper, Matt, you know,
so deep.
From a macro level. Like, guys, why are we fighting? Although borders matter. Borders matter. I think boundaries matter. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I think we all have to contribute, you know, and, you know, a lot of times they want to highlight our differences, but we really have a lot more in common than you can imagine. Mm-hmm. So under that thesis statement, I brought all these people together to party as hard as possible and fall in love with each other. You know, I probably am the reason for a lot of conceptions.
So I just want to make sure I understand. So you saw this separation of everybody.
Yeah.
And then you were like, how do I get all these people together? Because they probably ain't going to do it at lunch. Mm. And then you're like, I know, I'm going to throw a rager.
Yeah. And not how I am.
Yeah.
I'm getting into these people.
And then
together.
you charge.
I'm charging $10.
And you're making money.
Oh, and I'm making money. It doesn't make any sense if we're not making dollars.
Exactly.
Right. So yeah, for sure. We're $10 at the door. You know, parents aren't home. Mom, don't pretend earmuffs. Parents aren't home. The biggest party I threw was like 200 people in the crib. Like, that's how much we cycled through. We made $2K that night. That was great. But like, I look back at that moment.
But you said you weren't doing it to make the $2,000. You're doing it to like create the connection.
No. I gotta be clear. No, I gotta be clear. Like, I'm not out here pro bono. You know what I mean? I have people to take care of. I have things that I want. But when I could do good and great at the same time, right? Do good, help people out, and then financially do great. No brainer. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I love entrepreneurs, because they literally live and breathe their occupation and they love it. Right. But it allows them to put food in their mouths and a roof over their heads and do wild things for their kids. So I think it goes hand in hand. Right. I don't think anybody should be ashamed of that. So, yeah, I'm asking for money at the door because you're about to destroy my parents' house for sure. And I had to get the brute wrath of my Nigerian father. So if you can imagine what that was like. You know, I would clean up the night after thinking everything was spick and span. Yo, if my kids ever did anything like that, I would know instantly just by the smell, the odor. Who's been in my house? So it's just kind of crazy what I got away with. I love you, Dad.
Smart.
I love you, Mom. You never know. There's like cups in the trash can galore. Of course. They were so graceful, though. I love my parents. They're awesome.
So you're just a hustler.
Yeah, I like connecting the dots. But again, you know, hustle has, I don't know why, it has a negative connotation, because what I believe it means is grit. Like, you're willing to get to work when work is necessary. And that's what I do. I get to work. I don't like to stand still.
Why do you think it gets a negative connotation?
It's just, so we're just talking here. This is a pod. I think a lot of people are arguing in general over the definition of words. But, you know, no. They're arguing because of a word, whatever the word is, but they're operating under two different definitions. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So they're not communicating clearly.
Exactly. What do you mean by hustle? What do you mean by hustle? Oh, well, in that case.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, I think some people are defining it in a way that's negative, right? But I define it as grit. Again, I wake up at 5. I got 4 kids, baby. You got to get everybody ready for school. Then I got to go out. I mean, I was sending emails out up until 11 p.m. last night to just wake up.
And up until like 2 minutes before you walked in here, too.
Always working. Because, and that's another principle of mine in regards to the reduction of friction. I think that's important. We can get into that. It's another one of my thesis statements. But, you know, like, super important. We are specific in what we mean when we use the words that we use. As a master communicator, I like to say that. So yeah, homegrown hustle for me is the definition of what I've been doing all my life, right? Getting it out the mud and figuring it out, because
making it happen.
No one gave me the blueprint.
Well, but no one gave you a limitation either. Like you said that yourself, like there wasn't some type of benchmark that was the border for you? Like it was get out there and do your best.
Yeah, but there's a lot of noise in the system, dog.
So much.
Poison in the water.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's going on. They're making me feel like I gotta be a robot. I don't gotta be a robot. I can be whatever I want to be, and I don't have to ask permission to do it. I thought I had to be ordained to be a CEO, but I guess you just gotta call yourself one enough. But they make you feel that way. I didn't start talking about mortgages until I got to the Midwest. Let's continue the story, right? So after I graduated from high school, my parents had moved to Rugby, North Dakota, and they left me with the house for a year, which is outrageous. Don't ever do that if you're a parent, because I went crazy. My girlfriend damn near lived with me. It was dope, bro. Sometimes I wish I could hop in a time machine and just watch myself live. Whoa, I don't even know how I graduated, but I did. And I started looking at colleges and went up to Rugby, North Dakota. So the Rugby, North Dakota is about 2,000 people deep. It's the geographical center of North America.
Is it actually?
Yeah, look it up. Googles. Do your Googles, Rugby, North Dakota. I have no idea why my parents moved there. No clue.
But because it's the center.
Oh, yeah, there we go. You know, they're immigrants, you know, so like moving from one place to another doesn't phase them. You know, I can't even think about moving to one state to the next state, but they move from one country to the next, right? And this is before like technology. Isn't that weird to say? Before technology, before like
you couldn't like watch a YouTube video.
Yeah,
it was like
they heard it on the radio. America's paved in gold. Like, oh, okay, we got to go over there, and they did it. You know, they're so brave. For me, I'm like, well, let me do my Google and my research. What's the tax? What's the da da da? Like, yeah, not a lot of leaps of faith over here when it comes to relocating, but they did. I went up and visited them for a summer. And my dad, being as clever as he is, you want to just check out a university down the road? An hour and a half later, I'm on University Avenue in Grand Forks, North Dakota. Go Sioux. UND's my alma mater. UND's literally the best college you can go to in the summertime because it's cold as hell in the winter. And I didn't know that because I took my tour in the summertime. So that's part of the reason I dropped out. I was like, what the fuck is up with this weather? This is crazy. But that's where I got introduced to the Midwest and a lifestyle that I don't know why it's not. Maybe it is, and I just wasn't at the age or in the right type of circles to get educated around it. But like all of my buddies, you know, parents, and Jay-Z has a line. He says, I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman. So let me handle my business. Damn. And, you know, essentially what he means by that, and I didn't know what he meant by that, although I was rapping it for years, is like, I'm a sole proprietorship. I'm an LLC. You know, I write off what I do on a daily basis because I live and breathe work, you know? And I didn't even know that lifestyle existed until, again, like I'm meeting farmers. And not only are they LLC, but they have assets. And what's your asset? Land. What can you do with land? You can grow money. Literally. It comes off the trees. And I'm like, it's like, whoa, this is really cool. Because lo and behold, all through my endeavors of selling candy and things of that nature, it's like, man, this is what I'm doing, you know, and I get to be the master of my own domain and I get to call myself the president of my company. So shout out to the Midwest, man. And shout out to all 10,000 lakes.
All 10,000.
Plus.
Definitely plus. So you dropped out. Tell me, I don't know if you want to talk about that, but
you can talk about anything.
Tell me like why? Like why'd you drop out? Like you come to the Midwest, you made this big change. The reason that you were staying there was the college. Like what was going on at that point?
The weather, like it was like sub 30.
Literally just the weather was
no. It's deeper than that. But it was sub 30 and it was the winter. It was like a whole bunch of factors coming together. Mm-hmm. I had a wild weekend. We'll just leave it at that. A wild weekend. And I'm in Minneapolis with a few of my buddies and St. Thomas. Shout out St. Thomas.
Oh man.
So we're turning up and I'm just having like a moment. I'm like, yo, bro, get the fuck out of here, bro. Fuck this shit. I'm tired of spending money when I could just make it now. And I bought a plane ticket and like I woke up the next morning. What the fuck did I do last night? I bought a plane ticket? Oh, I guess I'm leaving. My buddy drops me off at the airport. I have my backpack and I just fly to New York. And I stayed there for about a year. And what New York allowed me to do was realize how important college is because as I mentioned, I was working like 60, 70 hours a week and my manager would feed up at the desk making buku dollars. He had a BMW and I'm sure he was over leveraged and he was just like playing a part. You know, that's what you kind of realize in your older age. People usually fake it till they make it. And when they're showing off, they're usually not there. But I asked him, I was like, yo, how come you have this job and we're not that far apart in age. Like, what did you do different than what I'm doing, you know? He's like, well, I got a degree, dog. I showed that piece of paper,
Just
and
put
you know,
on game.
yeah, I got that little piece of paper. I got that interview, and usually that's the prereq. So I get to tell you guys what to do, and you guys go make me money. And that's what he said to me. I thought it was
straight up.
Yeah, I thought it was legit. It was, you know, it was a full commission job, so everything was laid back. You want to do it or not? You know, I don't care. You know, but I was part of the comma club. That means I was making a K a week, which is absolutely nothing. But that's what I was making. And I was pretty excited at the time. I was like, oh, I'd spend it all that week and come back for more abuse and then get another check the next week. But, you know, essentially hearing those words, working 70 hours a week, really quantifying like what my hourly wage is at that point, and just getting the call of my life, you know, and my wife today letting me know that I have a baby on the way. I might be pregnant.
That changes stuff a little bit.
Yeah, I got to get my priorities straight. I gotta.
So what changed for you when you got that call? We're going deep here.
What changed for me? Well, how I define myself. That's definitely for one. Like, I'm not just KZ anymore. I'm Nikita's father.
Something bigger that you're.
Yeah, something bigger than myself, you know? No matter what, it's something that's always going to be in my mind. How is she doing? Is she okay? Mm-hmm. Is she doing what she loves? Is she happy? Excuse me. Mm-hmm. So that's always on my mind, and to make sure that I provide her. And, you know, I think it also comes from my ancestors too. You know, my grandma sleeping on the couch. If you caught that, she wasn't in a bedroom. She was on the couch. It's sacrifice. And why do we sacrifice? We sacrifice because we want to make sure that name lives on forever. Eichmann's forever, Enubuzor's forever, and that we're great. So, you know, my dad moved all the way to a whole nother country for that. He was a police officer, I would say like here it would be like a chief, like a sheriff for an entire county. So that, but a little bit larger in Nigeria. Mm-hmm. He literally dropped it all and just to find his wife in America, and then stayed here because of me, and, you know, just carved out his life the way it was. But could you imagine somebody's a chief of police, and Nigeria's a little bit different. You know, you have maids and assistants and all these things, to give that all up to then be a simple, you know, and my dad's awesome, so know this, but he worked at an airline as, you know, the guy at the gate, you know, from having 20 reports.
Talk about sacrifice.
To being the guy at the gate. So he could come home in time, because he had a few different jobs. He has a doctorate. He has a few different opportunities, but this is the only opportunity that works out well enough where he can come home in time to do homework with us. Dad, you're crazy.
Sounds like an awesome dad.
But you got to lead by, you know, example. And from his example, I'm like, okay, well, I got to definitely show up for my children, and I have, and I want to be a great dad. So my dreams kind of have to be pushed aside, and I got to get serious about life, right? I got to make sure I put the right type of foundation down from a monetary standpoint, and then also lead by example and encourage the type of values that I want to have within my household on a daily basis. So there's never a night that I'm not home.
That's amazing. I'm the same way, man. It's so important. But I mean, if you don't have those things that are bigger than you, then it's like just chase your tail in a circle, you know?
I don't know. I don't even know.
I mean, yeah, me either. So
I gotta ask somebody.
So how do you? So someone that's been in sales so long, let's get down to like the process of sales,
For
and
sure.
like maybe some of how the success you've had. I'm sure there's thousands of failures that you've had to get there. So for a lot of people that aren't successful with sales, those failures kind of stop them, right? For whatever reason. How do you what do you think about when maybe you don't close a deal or you lose a sale or opportunity? Like, how do you process that and like move on?
I would say when I was really young in my career, it would hurt my feelings. But if you know your numbers, it doesn't, because you know that you're just closer to the yes. So there's numbers for every trade and industry. You know, mine in the telecommunications industry is about 33% of the individuals that you engage will say yes to you from a purchasing standpoint. All right. So these are people that are actually interested in visiting with you, though. Right. So from a prospecting standpoint, about 10% of the people that you engage with will actually be interested in visiting.
Mhm.
Okay. So if you know these stats, you know that 90% of the phone calls that you make are going to end in a no or abrasive hang up. And if you're mentally prepared for that, it won't phase
Don't
you
matter.
at all. You're like, okay.
You're not surprised because you already know
90% of these people are
signing
supposed
up
to
for
say
that.
no. Yeah. And if you get it on the first call, you're lucky as hell. It's like fishing. That's what I compare it to. You know, you drop your hook in the water and, you know, if you're patient and you make sure that you set your vibe right, you got the right company, you got a 6-pack, I don't want to drink and work at the same time. But, you know, that type of idea, you know, maybe you have your snacks and you're comfortable and you're warm and you know what you're about to do and you've removed all distractions, you will be successful, right? Because then it's the other two factors that come into play, which is velocity and efficiency.
Velocity is one of my favorite words to talk about with sales. It's so important.
Well, you're basically feeding a machine, right? You're feeding the water plant.
So what does velocity mean to you when you talk about it in terms of sales?
The number of dials that you make.
The efficiency behind that, or just sheer
the
quantity?
Yeah, velocity is quantity. And then efficiency is how you use your words, how effective you are, how convincing you can be.
How good at communicating.
Yeah.
So what have you learned over the years with those two things?
Velocity is king. Velocity is king. Yeah. So
Weird.
I was at Comcast and there was a new hire. I don't think he's ever sold before, but we went door knocking together. And well, this is not illustrating velocity, but it's illustrating that skill doesn't matter, but, you know, passion behind what you're doing, which then results in, you know, going after it day in and day out and being as quick as you can. He knocked on a gas station, which is like the weirdest knock in B2B history. Like, you don't knock a gas station. There's no owner of the gas station there, unless you're talking about a mom and pop. But this is like a BP level organization. So it's like, you're going to talk to a manager that's going to give you a number. And the number is going to be 800 number and it's going to be a call tree and you get to nobody. So it's just like a place that you avoid typically, I would say. But he went in there because he doesn't know any better. It's just like pure like bliss for him. He's like, ooh, I'll just walk in here and just ask for a number. And then he called the 800 number and he's like, yeah, I just got to talk to the guy who does the internet stuff. And then the guy picks up and he's like, yeah, what's up? He's like, yeah, you guys do internet. We got a great product here at Comcast. Would you like to set up a meeting? Fast forward 500 locations later, this guy got the biggest paycheck of his life and then quit. So I say velocity because it's like fishing, right? So like, if the longer your hook is in the water, the more opportunity you have to catch the whale.
And by putting, in that case, you're prospecting, right? You're trying to find an opportunity, but in your mind, you had already excluded what happens afterwards.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know how it all ties together. I might just be telling a story, but ultimately, skill, just to address it, doesn't matter as much as just being on the phone. That's what I'm getting at, right?
Just doing it.
Do it.
The more
Pick
of it you do, the more output you get.
You could
so when you're feeding it, like if there's more going in, inevitably there's going to be a loss.
You're going to stumble across the opportunity. I don't know. How did I get this deal? Because you called. If you didn't call and you were just let's say you never called, but you had the best pitch or elevator pitch or whatever you want to call it, right? There's a ton of names on it. You had the best one, but you never shared it with anybody. You never called. You never picked up the phone to do it. Who cares? And that's what a lot of these like really great executives lack. The grit, the hustle. It's like, I know what to say, but you never pick up the fucking phone, dog.
I never do.
God, what is wrong with you? Like, I'd rather the guy that doesn't know what to say, that loves picking up the phone, that can go through 50 calls an hour. Let's go. He's smiling and dialing.
I will hire that
Pursuit of happiness style.
Quickly.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. So yeah, I guess that story didn't make sense. So, you know, velocity is key. And then once you got the velocity down and you know how to like really honor your time, let's talk about that a little bit, guys. Honor your time.
So how do you structure your time when you're talking about that?
Well, I think everybody's structured a little bit different depending on what their life and their job is and what their product that they're selling. Let me just say this though. If I needed to, like this meeting right here, I made sure that I was 10 minutes on time and I was dressed up and I was fresh and I did some, you know, homework and just made sure that, you know what, these are the things that I can talk about. And, you know, you're just prepared. go to the dentist, for example. Like, okay, I'm going to brush my teeth before I go to the dentist. So I don't have stank breath, but literally they're going to brush teeth.
Yeah.
So, you know, you just get prepared for these moments for other people, but how are you getting prepared for yourself? Are you getting cozy? Are you getting your six pack prepared for your cold calls? Is your like situation like comfortable?
Like, is the setting, like the space you're going to be working?
Right. Are you turning off your phone and saying, I'm dedicating the next 2 hours to the cold call? Do you have your list ready? Or are you making your list during the cold call session? Guys, that's not velocity. Hey, I'm going to make cold calls from 10 to 12, but I don't have a cold call list and I'm starting to make it at 10. No, you're not ready for this. Mm-hmm. So you have to be as ready for yourself as you are for others. So that's how I would address that. You know, and like however that carves out within your day, I'll tell you, like my prime time is like 9 to 11. And then I get back on the horn at 1:30 to 4. And again, I have so many other activities in my day, be it administrative, be it meetings, discovery meetings, follow-up meetings, etc. that, you know, I probably defer to Thursdays as the best day to call to set appointments with new clients, and mornings. Like, so that's my preference. But anytime that's not lunch, make a call. You can even call during lunch and set an appointment. So it's kind of hard for me to define what the best time is for anybody else. But
you
for
just
me,
carve out X amount of hours to do
carve it out, do it,
make it happen.
Yes, and usually the prospecting falls to the wayside of all the administrative work. It's usually, hey, you know, whenever I have downtime, I'll start calling again. That's not the right attitude. It's I call. So for me, I call Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. I call.
You just call
from 9 to 11. I prepare for my calls on Sunday. That's my regimen. I do it every week. I set about 5 to 10 appointments a week on my own. And then I have a diversified mix of prospecting efforts, including BNI, right? Including some proprietary things that we utilize at T-Mobile. So, you know, I also know my number. Okay, so let's go back to the number. So we talked while we're prospecting, 10% of the prospects that I get on the phone will not hang up on me and say, you know what, I guess I'll visit with you. 33% of those folks will actually say yes. So 66% will say, you know, this is just not the right fit, which I respect, because my job is just to provide you with the information necessary for your organization, yourself, to make a educated decision. That's your fiduciary responsibility.
Yep.
I get that. So you're not hurting anybody's feelings. Just don't Minnesota nice me. Just tell me no if it's no. Don't say, hey, you know, follow up in 7 months. Like, oh God.
Yeah.
But if it's true, I will follow up in 7 months and we'll have a great conversation around it. I will. I'll call you. Just tell me no if it's no, though, you know, because I will follow up.
Yeah. Don't ignore me for 3 months of me following up after 7 months.
I cut my word. But so after that, and you have your sale on the hook, you have to start thinking about what your quota is. Right? What is your responsibility to the company? And that's so important, because a lot of these sales executives, and you'll know, sales is a revolving door. And, you know, if you're getting paid a salary or even an hourly, you're just getting paid before your quota, even if it's like an advance. I wish sales executives were more empathetic to the ownership. Like, they've invested in me. They invested time, equipment, a roof over my head, warmth. All these things cost a lot of money, and I got to perform at a high level. So do the math. So we talked about the top half of the math. What's the bottom half of the math? Well, what's your close rate? Okay, it's 33%. That means that I have to bring in 22 deals a month. That means I have to be closing one a day. If I bring in 22 deals a month and I close 33% of them, I have about 7 deals. Okay. So of the 7 deals, if I'm averaging 10 to 20 lines, I'm hitting quota. That's the math. Well, if my quota doubles, then I got to bring in double the amount of opportunities, which then backtracks to how many cold calls that I'm making. Guys, if you know your math, you can go to sleep well at night versus sweating and overthinking things. I have this big deal on the hook. It should close. This is the 5th month we heard about it. Shut up. You know? So
yeah. Well, a lot of people like that feeling of like making somebody happy rather than, yo, I just closed that deal. Like, a lot of people have that dopamine release just by like satisfying somebody. But if you don't get the deal,
it doesn't mean anything.
It don't matter until that deal's signed or deposits made, whatever it is. Like, there is no deal.
You know, you're touching on the fake meetings. So a lot of folks will say, yeah, I got another meeting.
With who?
when you dig, it's the same guy that he had a meeting 3 weeks ago.
Fantastic.
That means nothing. Give me some new logo. Give me some new names, you know? And that's the goal. Every month, 22 new names. And I usually end at 35. So let's go.
Let's go. So why don't you stop at 22? A lot of people stop at 22 because you're top sales.
Yeah, because I have a goal to be part of President's Club. So me and a gentleman that you know, his name is Pat Arneson. He's been part of President's Club 11 times in a row.
Tell me what President's Club is.
So the elite sales executives of any organization will go to a President's Club, and it's just like a retreat, but it means that you're like 5% of the company, you know, top sales executives, or, you know, there's a few different styles, but that idea. And I've never had it, you know, I just never had it. I always missed it by a little bit. I'm also going against like East and West Coasters, but that's more of an excuse because Pat does it every year for the last 11 years. And he is my beacon of hope. It can be done. And I'm going to do it here at T-Mobile. And the only way I'm going to be able to do that is by performing higher than the expectations. So last month I hit 265%. Still not good enough. I need to be consistent at like 300 to make it work. So we'll make it shake though. We'll make it shake. So, but knowing your numbers, do you know your business, guys? You need to be running your sales like as if you're an entrepreneur.
I mean, and that ties all the way back to Pixie Sticks, bro.
Doesn't it?
17 cents for a Pixie Stick versus 83 cents or whatever. So,
but then also knowing that you have a superior product, right? And how do I deliver the product with navigating the red tape, getting my boys box. You know what I mean? And just being able to do it in a way that's efficient. So, you know, you got to stay in between the guardrails. You don't want to break any rules. You want to be transparent, right? You don't want to do anything in the shadows. If you are, then stop it.
Don't do sketchy things.
Don't do sketchy things. It's not worth it. It's short-term plays.
Well, and then you like waste mental energy having to look over your shoulder
Bro,
and even think about that.
When you're doing it the right way, it's totally possible. And the right way is utilizing the mathematics, my friends.
Math. I mean, it doesn't lie. It takes the emotion out of it. It's incredibly powerful, but for whatever reason, people that aren't high performing salespeople, they don't get to that point. And maybe that's why. Well,
you talked about experiences. I mean, I wasn't always this way.
Well, how'd you learn it then?
This in particular came from the fact that I had a really good manager at AT&T that I didn't like very much because she challenged me. No one ever challenged me. Through relationship and just my charisma, my riz. Like people that. Just like, and like, you know, I'm gritty. So like I get out there and I like to work and, you know, I don't like to owe anybody anything. So like you paid me this, I'm going to do that, you know. I think it's wild that I get a commission. So I put in that work regardless. But when that's all that it's based on, it's not based on the math, you have ebbs and flows. So I hit maybe 200% the quota. And then the next month I hit like 60%. And she was calling me out. She was like, you're 40% away from what the expectation is. I said, well, look at last month and, you know, look at my quarterly numbers. How about that? And she was like, well, we don't pay you like that. And that hit. I don't know why it hit so hard. I was like jostled. And this was in front of everybody, like the whole group. I'm top performer. She's calling me out on a weak month when I was putting up numbers 3 months in a row and my last month was crazy. Yeah, but we don't pay you 60% this month because we want to, because we overpaid you last month. No, we're going to pay you what you owe and you're going to do the work that we expect, which is 100%. You don't have to do 200. You owe us 100% though. And I've never heard that before.
So she checked you on
it.
She checked me.
So I was in my feels for like a weekend talking to my wife. Man, this lady, she's crazy, man. But what I usually do is like try to take the good out of any interaction. Like, okay, what was she trying to say to me? What can I take out of this? You know, this is that Sunday evening prep for Monday. And, you know, ultimately, I don't like owing anybody. I don't like leaving things on the table. And if I did apply myself, because let's be honest, I took that week off after the end of the month because I did so well. You know, I'm gonna put my feet up, take advantage of the fact that I'm an autonomous salesperson. So she's kind of right. And if I could be in more control over what it is I had to do to get to where I needed to be, then I could do the best of both worlds. I can have a lot of productivity within my day, but then also have the leisure that I'm looking for to give me that balance that I need.
So you have to structure your day.
You said it in 2 words. Thank you. Structure, or 3, structure my day. And that's where that principle of just like understanding my math, understanding the plays, I started creating the blueprint of what B2B sales looks like. I should write a book. It should be in a book. People need it. So that did 2 things. I never had to be concerned with somebody calling me out and checking me because I had the play. I knew what my numbers were. I knew the clients that I was going to close. I had a good understanding of what my funnel looked like and my pipeline looked like. And I used my own Excel sheet that really allowed me to visualize exactly what my day and my month and my quarter looked like, which again was just the challenge of never being challenged again.
So she checked you. She got you in your feels. And from that, you took control. And stopped living off of just the Riz, and that was powerful because not only, in sales, not only do they give you trophies, but they write you checks. And like my checks have been big and I've been able to take care of my family in wild ways. So super pumped about it. But like,
shout out to Liz Harris. You're the best.
And you remember these people, which I think is amazing. Well, we've already gone over time a little bit here. I appreciate you so much, bro. So before I let you go, we touched on it a little bit earlier, but if you had to define the word hustle in terms of business or sales, how would you define that word?
Getting dirty, grinding, getting in the mud, doing whatever others won't when no one's watching.
I'm going to give you some more time in case there's more.
Grit.
All right.
Matt,
all right, KZ, man, I appreciate you. I also wanted to tell you something before I let you go. You came to my office when we first met. We talked, we jammed for a little bit. You left.
I love that conversation.
And then my pest control manager, he said to me, "Who was that guy? He seemed like a lot of fun." And it's true. Like, you just have this energy about you, man. It's very contagious. And
that's good.
I'm so grateful. You are a top salesman. That's why I've tried to hire you a couple times. But it looks like you're staying in telecommunications, which is, I get it. You've had some success. So, but if you do ever want to come to pest control,
I know exactly who to call. I know call.
Is there anything else you want to say about the services or how people can get in contact with you before we get off here?
Yeah, for sure. So I do work for T-Mobile for Business. I work with businesses of all sizes, small, large, enterprise level. Phones, tablets, wearables. We get into ancillary devices like fleet tracking, wireless internet solutions, and phone systems. If you're interested in having a great conversation, really analyzing what your business does and see if what my products do is a match to what you need, give me a call, 612-963-2485. Again, that's 612-963-2485. Or look in the description below. I'm sure all the information is down there too.
We're going to have all of that. KZ, appreciate you coming out here to Forest Lake, Abracadabra headquarters for the Homegrown Hustle podcast. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but we've been leveling up a little bit. We're slowly getting better as we're learning through this whole process. Appreciate all the support. KZ, thanks again for coming on the Homegrown Hustle. Really appreciate you, Doc.
Thanks again for joining us on Homegrown Hustle. Our local business community thrives because of the brilliant leaders right here in our backyard. And it's been an absolute privilege to provide them with a platform to share their invaluable expertise. Stay tuned for more insight, wisdom, and inspiration from our local business champions. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Together, we'll continue to nurture and expand our homegrown success stories. Matt Eichmann signing off until our next insightful episode.